levels. One, at the individual level, we have to take a hard look to see whether individuals exercise their responsibilities appropriately, whether they exercise due diligence in the exercise of those responsibilities.
Well, obviously, there wasn't. I mean, if a 29-year-old school dropout could come in and take out massive amounts of data, it's obvious there weren't adequate controls. Has anybody been fired?
No, sir, not yet.
Has anybody been admonished?
So those investigations are underway. When those investigations are complete, we will have a full accounting within the executive branch and to the Congress of individual and systemic accountability. I think that at the end of the day, we will have to look to see whether people exercise the responsibilities appropriately, whether they essentially exercise the trust that is accorded to them. In our system, we extend top secret SCI, special compartmented intelligence clearances, to a range of people and expect that they will then exercise that trust as the American people intended. And we will make a full accounting of that.
I remember President Reagan made up a statement, which many of us use, about trust but verify. I mean, don't you have, I realize you have to have a certain amount of trust, but don't you have people double-checking what somebody's doing?
We do, sir.
Who double-checked Mr. Snowden?
Well, there are checks at multiple levels. There are checks in terms of what an individual might be doing at any moment in time. They
obviously failed.
In this case, I think we can say that they failed, but we don't yet know where.
You think you can say they failed? I mean, he's sitting over at the airport in Russia with millions of items.
I would say that with the benefit of what we now know, they did fail.
Okay.
But we don't yet know where precisely they failed, and we may find that they failed at multiple points in the system, either in the exercise of individual responsibility or in the design of the system in the first place.
Has anybody been asked to resign or offered to resign because of this failure?
No one has offered to resign. Everyone is working hard to understand what happened and to put in place the necessary mechanisms.
How soon will we know who screwed up?
I think that we'll know over weeks and months precisely what happened and who should then be held accountable, and we will hold them accountable.
Are you taking any steps now to make sure such a screw-up doesn't happen again?
We are, sir. We have instituted a range of mechanisms, not simply one, to ensure that we would understand and immediately be able to catch someone who tried to repeat precisely what Mr. Snowden did. But we also have to be creative and thoughtful enough to understand that there are many other ways somebody might try to beat the system.
You can understand why some people use that old expression, locking the door after the horse has been stolen?
I can, sir.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate your candor. And I realize General Alexander is Las Vegas, but I'll ask you this question. Last month he promised to provide me with specific examples of terrorism cases where Section 215 phone records collections have been used. I was led to believe by his answer there are dozens of cases where Section 215 authorities have been critical to the discovery and